Welcome to another Kitchen Draft Live. In today's video, we're gonna be making a dinner party menu. Well, nothing really complicated, at least in my opinion, because we're kind of skipping the starter, making only some bread and some dips, although some of them we might buy them. We'll figure out something. So I got a menu that I wanna go through with you because my birthday is coming, so I'm preparing everything myself. So yeah, with the help of my wife, let's be honest. So I'm gonna show you the ingredients, which we got quite a few today. They are spread all over the place because I started a bit earlier because I don't want to keep you basically with the whole process, you know, when you need to wait with the stuff that goes into the oven for hours and making the dough for the bread and all that kind of stuff, which takes quite a bit of time. I want to kind of like speed up a bit so I don't have to keep you for that long here. Although I like spending time with you, that's a different story. But the idea is that here we go. Tim is in the house. You better do some work, boy. Yeah, better do some work. Okay. Yeah, so as I said, yeah, I'm going to go through everything that we got here today. There are quite a few ingredients. There are a few things to go through. We're going to be here live for at least 2 hours. I'm thinking somewhere between 2 and 3 hours is probably going to be the longest stream I ever done. But that's fine. Let's hope that the gear holds. Let's hope that we can make it. I got even a chair if I get tired, but we'll see. Let's hope that everything goes fine. Yeah, no lunch for you, that's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, you just go back to work. Absolutely fine. Tim is my colleague. Yeah, it's just been it's just trying to be funny. Yeah, you go back to work, boy. We're cooking here and let's see what we've got today. So I've got a simple menu in my opinion, slightly complicated every here and there, but nothing really major. So what we've got here today, we're gonna be making gnocchi, potato gnocchi. I've got the potatoes right here. Actually, I need to get them out because I put them probably like an hour ago, an hour and 20 minutes ago. And I think, yeah, they're definitely done. So we're gonna take care of these in a minute. So we're making potato gnocchi. After that, we're gonna prepare the sea bass because obviously I'm not gonna do the whole thing now because the dinner party is just at 6 p.m. or so. But I'm gonna start preparing as much as possible so I can enjoy the night too, not just cooking and cooking. So I want to make it as easy as possible, and that's the whole idea, getting it ready before the guests arrive, and basically spend as less time possible as you can in the kitchen and spend more time with them. In the same time, you want to probably have something a bit more, not necessarily sophisticated, but something that's pleasant to your eye, that looks good in the plate, that's tasty. So that's what we're going to be trying doing today. Now I've got the potatoes, so these are the potatoes for the gnocchi. All I did with the potatoes, I just basically wrap them in tin foil, use a fork and literally stab them a few times and get them into the oven for about an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. It all depends obviously how big they are, but if you get them at this size, an hour, 20 minutes should do the job. Now I'm going to leave the oven going because I've got the bread which is going to go soon into the oven. But don't worry, because I'm going to go through the process of making the actual dough because I'm making 2 focaccia breads. So we're making 2 focaccia breads today. One is probably half an hour away. It's slowly rising. Let me show you actually what's going on here. So one is slowly rising here. This is going to go into the oven in about half an hour or so. And then we're going to make another batch. We're going to make another focaccia just in case, you know, people love it. Although 2 focaccias probably is quite a lot for 6 people. But we're making another one. If it's not going to go today, it's fine. We're going to have some sandwiches tomorrow. So that's not that big of a problem. Now, I'm going to put this aside. Today I need to be a bit more organized. So no lights, no fancy lights here, nothing complicated. We keep it with natural light because I need space around this table, considering that we've got quite a few things to do. We're gonna need to do some washing up as well at some point, so all this kind of stuff, you know, piled up. We want to have some space here. After that, because I kind of stopped at the sea bass, but continuing, we're gonna make basil and truffle butter. I want to make, obviously with the not making the starter, I'm gonna serve the bread with a few dips extra virgin olive oil, and I'm gonna make some butter with some flavor, which in this situation is gonna be basil and truffle. Now, that's not that complicated, to be honest. You can use whichever flavor you want. That's the one that I feel like works and people like it, but you don't need to go that complicated. You can even make it simple with something like, even if you put normal butter on the table, if it's a good quality, which to be honest, the Jersey butter is pretty good. If you are in Jersey, then yeah, you can definitely just put normal butter, as long as make sure it's room temperature when you put it at the table so you can spread it. But other than that, if you want to go with flavors, you can definitely do so. Now, focaccia, we covered that because we got focaccia after that. So we talk about the truffle butter focaccia, and the focaccia is going to be with turmeric and caraway seeds. It's one of my favorite focaccia flavors, and obviously it's going to be quite a bit of extra virgin olive oil in there and a touch of sea salt. But when it comes to it, I'll show you all the process. I'm pretty sure you've seen on my channel, I've done it quite a few times when it comes focaccia or bread in general, so it's nothing really new, but it's something that we're going to do today. And with the gnocchi sea bass, we're going to also have parsnip puree. So we're going to be making a parsnip puree, although it probably sounds a bit complicated. It's not that complicated in the end. It's more of a it's a puree, let's be honest. So it's nothing really complicated. So this is it. We've got here 4 parsnips. And as a sauce, although you could kind of get away with the puree for the sea bass dish, I'm going to be using a pea and bacon sauce, which is going to be made with cream, obviously pea and bacon, and a bit of onion, garlic, but when it comes to it, I'm going to go through it. So that's the plan for today. Actually, I forgot to add here the parsnip puree. I need to make a list, otherwise, I kind of lose it, because you need to be kind of organized, especially when you need to cook multiple items, either in the same time or one by one, depending on if you can multitask or not. That's a different story. So parsnip puree on the list now. Okay, so I don't think we are that bad. I think 2 hours is decent. It's yeah, keep it simple. Of course, yeah, we're gonna keep it simple today. That's the whole idea, although it's probably a bit more than we usually do here on the channel, because we usually go with one recipe. But today I want to show you what I usually prep when people come around. It doesn't mean that I'm cooking all the time sea bass or all the time gnocchi, but just an example of what I usually, what the idea behind a dinner party in my house. Okay, so let's get to these. Actually, I'm going to turn off the oven because I'm just wasting energy for no reason. The bread is probably going to take like half an hour, as I said. It's not that warm in here, and I didn't move into the next room. It would have been better probably, because obviously the temperature would have helped, raising. That's fine, that's fine. We have enough time. As I said, we're probably going to be live for about 3 hours. And yeah, happy to see you here. Happy to see you in the chat. Thank you for being here with me. Okay, let's go. So I'm gonna unwrap all these potatoes and see how they look like. Yeah, they're definitely done. So when it comes to potatoes for gnocchi, you need the fluffy, floury variety, something like Maurice Piper, for example. Especially if you are from the UK, you know what I'm talking about, because these are very popular. King Edwards is another option. Yeah, so we've got these varieties that are perfect for this job. Let me show you here what's going on. Okay. And we're gonna be passing this through, not a sieve, although you could do that, but I'm gonna be using a mouli, a potato mouli. That's it. A vegetable mouli, potato mouli, however you wanna call it. This is really good, and to be honest, this is pretty cheap as well. For what you use every here and there, you don't necessarily need something that's gonna be built as like a tank. Now what I want to do with these, so you see, nice fluffy. I see recipes, that they use different methods. They boil the potatoes. I think they should be kept as dry as possible, but that's just my idea. I'm not saying that the other methods don't work, because they definitely do, but these give me best results whenever I use it. So now what I'm gonna do, potatoes in here, I'm just basically gonna get all the inside of the potatoes, and we're going to get rid of the potato peeling, although it's actually quite tasty. I actually like the potato skins once it's baked. It's absolutely great if you want to eat it, although it's not probably much you can do with it. It's just eating a few and then that's pretty much it. So we're discarding all the potatoes in here one by one, making sure that you don't get any of the skin in there. Now we probably have a bit too many for, let's say, 6 people, but the idea is, what if, let's say, 2 or 3 of them are, you don't obviously see from the outside whether they are off or not, but then if they are, then you are in trouble because you might not have enough. So that's why I put a few more, and if, let's say, we end up with a few more gnocchi than we need, that's fine, because they last for like 2 days in the fridge, or if you want to freeze them, you could do that. So that's not that big of a problem. If, let's say you're making too many, most of the times, especially when you don't waste it, most of the times the problem is when you don't have enough. So I'd rather have a bit extra and then, I don't know, put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer for tomorrow. That's fine. Okay, so we have enough in here. So now I'm just gonna get this working. As I said, this is not a professional made tool. As you can see, you know, it's not necessarily giving me the absolute best results. So, but it does the job. For home cooking, I think it's just fine. Oh, I think this just came off. One sec, we'll get it back on track. If you don't have one of these, I wouldn't worry, because you could use something else like, you can literally just use a potato masher, and that should do the job pretty much in the same way. Alright. Okay, we're failing here. Okay, we're discarding all in here because we've got a problem. So I'm gonna put this back in here and hope for the best. I don't think it was set up properly right from the beginning. That was the main issue. But we'll make it work. Okay, we're back on track. So we're gonna put all the potatoes back in it. Are we back on track or we're not? We are. Right, potatoes back. We're gonna go gradually, because probably that's the problem. I put a bit too much at the beginning. Right, we're rolling. Let me actually show you, see what's going on. So, all these go back into the mouli, and then the idea is, by using this, you know, you're gonna get perfect consistency. Don't get me wrong, this is not necessarily needed. You could use a different tool if you want to. As I said, the potato masher will do the job, but I know with this you're gonna get perfect results, so that's why I'm recommending having one of these. And as I said, you know, it's definitely not the best when it comes to it's not reliable, probably. At least this one is not that reliable, but it does the job. Yeah, I guess the secret is don't use that much potato right from the beginning. If you put probably 2 at a time, you should be good. So, I believe I'm gonna keep these potatoes on the side. I'm happy with what I've got here. I don't think I need more. We need to add some flour in there. We need to add some eggs, 1 or 2, depending on, we'll see how it goes, how the mixture looks like. But I think for 6 people, we've got enough. considering that we've got the puree as well, we've got the pea and bacon sauce, it should be enough, and we should be fine with what we've got here. Right, let's clean a bit this mess. I'm gonna keep these potatoes. I'll probably use them tomorrow for breakfast, kind of like jacket potatoes, although I'm not intended for that, but you can do, just get them quickly in the oven for like 20 minutes, heat them up, put some maybe cheese, bacon, whatever you want to put on the baked beans, and then happy days. That's the breakfast right there. So I'm just gonna put these on the side for now and try to clean some of this mess. So I'm gonna pile up a few things in there, and then when they get to the when they are too many, I'll probably have to do some washing up as well. Okay, so let me show you how it looks like. As you can see, it's pretty dry. It's like a mashed potato, but in the same, we want it to be kind of dry. And then you can use this method if you want, even for normal mashed potatoes. They'll be absolutely amazing. I don't usually do, but you could if you want to. And now what this gives us, what's happening when they are dry, it gives us the chance of adding other ingredients, like, for example, eggs. If you were to add the eggs, if let's say the potatoes were kind of watery, then I'm not sure how you're gonna get that back, you know, because in the end, it needs to look more or less like a dough. So that's how it's gonna look like eventually. And that's how the potato gnocchi will look like when we get to it. So it's still a bit of time to go. Now, flour first. Flour or egg, it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna go in with the whole egg. Whole egg straight in. Get the shells out. And then flour. Flour, I just add probably like 3 tablespoons at this point. I'm pretty sure I'll need more, but at the beginning I want to go slowly, gradually. So that's the whole point about this. Now another secret, probably not necessarily a secret, but what you want to bear in mind is the thing that with the gnocchi you don't want to knead these like forever and go on and on. The less you move the potatoes and basically this whole mixture, the better, but in the same time you got to make sure that everything is well combined. Now let's go with salt. I would say probably, I don't know, probably in there was probably like half tablespoon, something like that. We'll find out whether they are fine or not. And then same pepper. Some people add, some people don't, because obviously you can see the grains of pepper in there. Today I'm prepared. I just grinded some pepper, some freshly grounded. I just made some freshly grounded black pepper before because, pardon, with the pepper mill is taking quite a bit of time. Now we've got all the ingredients in here. What I want to also add are some chives. Flavor and color, it makes sense to add some chives. We'll give that nice light onion flavor to the dish, and it's also gonna look good. So fresh chives, we'll just chop them and get them straight into the mixture. How are you guys doing today? I see that we have 8 people watching the stream. I'm so happy that you're here with me. Whether you are watching from work or from school, I don't even know if there's any school at this point, probably is. Yeah, happy to see you in the live. We're going fine, nice and fine with the chives. Till the end. Okay, so chives straight in. Okay, so we've got in here about 3 tablespoons of flour, about half tablespoon of salt, probably a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grounded black pepper, 1 egg, and potatoes, I think there were like 5 or 6, something like that, 6 I guess. Yeah, let's just combine everything together and see what we end up with. We might need more flour, so I'm pretty sure we will, but I'm gonna keep it here next to me because this can get pretty messy. I should have chosen like a bigger bowl, but we'll make it work. So, about another 2 tablespoons of flour in here. I don't think, in my opinion, I actually don't think you can literally make a recipe for and say exactly the measurements for gnocchi, because it all depends how dry your potatoes are, and that will decide everything. So that's the whole idea. You need to see how much flour it takes, but in the same time you don't want to go crazy with the flour, because after that all you'll feel is the flour, and the main flavor in the gnocchi, especially in the potato gnocchi I'm talking, should be the potatoes, and then after that only feel some sort of like dough kind of flavor. So this is coming nicely together. I'm just going to go with a bit more flour. Yeah, that should be it. Now it feels like it's all coming together, but in the same time it's not getting that stuck to your hands. So that's the time basically when you feel like, okay, that's the perfect consistency. The idea of adding the egg is to basically keep everything together whilst cooking. Okay, so I'm happy with what I've got here. If it needs a bit more flour, we'll add it, but I don't think it's more than 1 tablespoon that we need. And now we need to start rolling the gnocchi and basically portioning them. Right. Hi Josh, nice to see you in the chat, mate. Yeah, we're doing our best here. Very good to see you in the chat. Very good to see you in the chat. Okay, so let's have a quick taste. I think we are fine, although, you know, probably we need a bit more salt. That's fine, because when you cook them, I can add a bit of seasoning on top. So even if they're a bit more, plus when we're gonna put them into the water, basically get them into the boiling water, then is the time when we can add some salt into the water. So that's gonna add some extra salt in there. So I'm okay with that. It's fine the way it is. I think we achieved what we wanted. Now let's prepare the table for rolling, because we're starting rolling, boys and girls. Right, I've got here a baking mat somewhere. Oh, here it is. This keeps the mess to minimum, although still might make mess later on. So straight on the table. How are you guys doing? I see that we have 9 people in the stream. Thanks for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing Friday, getting ready for the weekend, which is great. The weather looks, well, it's sunny, but it's cold as hell. I'm not sure what's going on here, but seems like we are going more towards winter than summer. So as you can see, it's compact. Well, at the point that it is soft, but not at the point that it sticks to your hand, and that's what you're looking for. Now I'm going to split this in 2. I'm going to keep one on the side and then just roll this one, and even this one I'm going to actually portion it in 2. And what I want to do, you could add some flour, but the luxury, well, not really a luxury, but the idea is that using this mat, it's not it doesn't stick to it, so you don't necessarily need that much flour. So now what I want to do, I'm just basically forming like a sausage. And after that, I'm going to portion it individually in smaller portions of gnocchi. These are homemade. You don't need to be extremely precise, in my opinion. So it's not about getting precise when it comes to this. And also, I don't want to go too small with the gnocchi. I want to keep them quite chunky because I think they're going to work well with the sea bass. Going too small, I think they're going to lose some of the flavor, especially, you know, they're going to get a bit probably too dry. So I want to have them kind of chunky. And no shape, no certain like complicated shapes whatsoever. It's going to be something nice and easy. I'm going to keep this board here, just dust a bit of flour on it, and just, probably this might be too small, but yeah, we'll deal with it. Or, big brains idea. Let's use this tray. Okay, let's get the tray ready here. A bit of flour so they don't get stuck to the bottom, or you could put some baking paper if you want to. And now let's start cutting. So, that's what I'm looking for. Or we can start actually better from this side, so I can basically take it as soon as I cut it, and it's going to be a bit more productive. As long as you get them in the same size, you have them in the same size, they will cook in the same time, they will look good in a plate. Whether you go for like bigger or smaller, that's totally up to you really. What the good thing about is, about this shape, it's easy. Plus, if you leave it kind of like bigger, it's not a huge amount of work, because if, let's say, I need to roll this even thinner, that is a lot more chopping, a lot more rolling, and so on. Okay, so that's one. Moving on, nothing gets wasted. See, it's like literally, it's like working with dough, but the idea is then you need to find the right balance between flour and potato. And in order to get that balance, as I said, you need to start with the right ingredients, having the right potato variety. Maurice Piper, probably, King Edwards, we talked at the beginning, something fluffy, floury will be perfect for this job. Okay, trying to kind of keep the same size. Yeah, we definitely have quite a few gnocchi for 6 people. I'm not, probably even more than we need. But as I said, you never really know with the potatoes whether they'll be fine, whether some of them will be off. So you better put more, and then you can use them, repurpose them in other recipes or do something else. You don't have to waste them. That's the whole idea. And then if you are in the chat, which I see a few people in the chat, all right, here we go. We've got Connor in the chat. Hello, Connor. How you doing? I would appreciate if you give this a like and a share. That'll be highly appreciated. Helping the algorithm and maybe get other people into cooking. We'll add a bit of flour in here. Not a lot. As I said, you know, this mat is really helping, you know, with the portion this in half. It's just a lot easier to work with. Yeah, this is helping a lot with the mess, with the stuff not getting pretty much stuck to the table. Honestly, it's been a while since I made gnocchi, but I absolutely love the feeling when you know that it's right. It feels right. Like you will kind of know. Obviously, this comes with experience, but you will know in time when the dough. Well, it's not really a dough, but in the same time, you know, I feel like it feels like a dough when it's perfect. As I said, it's got to be kind of sticky, but at the point that's not stuck, it doesn't get stuck to your fingers. A bit more thin. Okay, same story. Bang, bang. And again, if you want to go with shapes and something else, you could do, you know, rolling them on the back of the fork, or there is some sort of like special wooden kind of device that you can give you some sort of like nicer shape. I care more about the taste than anything else. And the taste, my friends, is definitely here. Right, rolling these all the way. And that's, we are pretty much there now. All we have to do is get some boiling water, which if I was to be efficient, it would have been already on. But that's fine, because we've got other things to do meanwhile, so we're gonna get the water on, and after that we can move on to the next stuff. Maybe let's see how the bread does. So there'll be always things to kind of fill these gaps. Okay, last one. Same story. I hope that we have enough space. Probably not, but we'll figure out something. Maybe find some sort of like gaps here and there. This is a bit too chunky. Okay, few more left, and then we can move on to something else. Yeah, I might regret this, putting them some kind of like one on top of another, but what can you do? Right, so we've got this ready. Just dust a bit of flour so they don't kind of get stuck one another. Right, quick washing of hands, and then let's do a bit of cleaning in there, and we can move on to whatever might be next, because we've got quite a few things to do, so don't worry about it. Even if we are not that organized. Here we go, we've got my mother-in-law in the house. Nice, nice. From Baia Mare, Romania. Right, so we don't need these anymore. I'm gonna give you a wash later on. Just gonna put it on the side. So these will go on the side, and let's just give a quick wipe here. And make sure that we keep everything nice and clean. Right, now, water. Let's get the water for the gnocchi. And I'll show you what we're doing here. Okay, we don't need a whole lot. So the idea is we want to kind of like pre-cook them. And even if, let's say, I was to use them now, they still need to go into the water. They add flour, obviously the potato, plus they're quite chunky. You cannot go directly into the pan with what we've got here. Plus, once they go into the water, that flour, egg mixture will kind of solidify and will help us basically keeping the gnocchi together for when we're using it in the actual dish. So it's a bit of both. It's basically cooking it and in the same time keeping that shape, because if you were to go straight into the pan, you probably don't get neither of this. Right, so salt in here. As I said, we're going to be adding salt. We're going in with about half tablespoon straight in, even more than that. 1 tablespoon. That's fine. Because as I said, they were not that salty, so that's why I'm always trying to kind of balance. If I know that those are not that salty, if I add a bit more salt in here, it's going to be fine. Same if, let's say, I need to add a bit more salt into the sauce, that's fine, because I know they're not that salty. So it's all about balancing. Sweet, sour, salty, all this kind of stuff. It's just basically balancing everything, so when they get into the plate, they're nice and the way they should be. Now let's get the lid on. Pretty sure I should have a lid somewhere. Oh, here it is. Right, so this is on. It shouldn't take long. I'm just gonna move it here on the side. Let's see if you can, yeah, you should be able to see it. So meanwhile, we're gonna prepare what can we do next? Because there are quite a few things to do next. I don't even know which one is best. So let's see how the bread looks like. Well, the dough for the bread. yeah, I'm kind of happy with this. It kind of doubled in size. Let me show you what we've got here. So that's what we've got. I'm gonna put it into a tray, but it's not gonna go into the oven just yet because it needs probably needs another like 20 minutes to basically rise again. So with the focaccia, I keep it very simple. Extra virgin olive oil. We're getting some molten salt, oil in the tray. If you're not sure about this, you can put some baking paper, but 95% of the time I don't really have issues. It doesn't really get stuck to the bottom of the tray. If you're not sure, as I said, just put some baking paper and it should be good. Just make sure that you oil the sides of the tray too, so it doesn't get stuck to the sides of the tray. Now, straight in. I'm going to keep this here because I want to show you how I'm making it from scratch. So I'm going to show you the dough making process in a minute once we get this in the oven, because I want to make another one later on. Although I might not use both for this evening, might use probably 1.5, I don't even know. But the idea is that, yeah, it'll just look good. Hi Andre, it's nice to see you again into the stream, especially considering that it's a Friday. You might be at work, you have obviously your stuff to do, but I appreciate that you're here again. So, and we've got my mom as always. What could be the live stream without her? So now let's just basically spread this. Oh, let's show it. Let me show you what's going on. So let's spread this over the bottom of the tray. For now, that's all we're doing. Spread this on the bottom of the tray. It doesn't look like much at this point, but it will rise probably another like 25 to 50% probably before getting into the oven. So I'm going to turn back on the oven, but in the same time, I want to put the dough on the top of the oven, which is where the grill is, which is turned off, but it's a warmer temperature in there. So this will help the dough rising. And we're going back to the oven at 200 degrees or about 200 degrees Celsius, because we're going to drop the temperature right after. So we'll give you about 10 minutes at 200 degrees, and after that we're going to drop the temperature for another like 20 minutes. So around 30 minutes is what we want for that focaccia, and it should be nice and crispy on the outside and kind of like slightly chewy on the inside. That's what we want. Right, moving on. Okay, I don't think I need, well, I do need actually the flour. I did say that we're going to be making the dough right from scratch. I'm going to use exactly the same bowl. So I want to show you exactly the process I'm following basically for the bread. Let me just wash my hands because I feel like they're all oily from the focaccia. So in here, I'm just going to show you now the process. It's pretty easy. I don't really follow any recipes. As you know, I'm not big into following recipes, especially with bread. I think there should be some sort of freestyle in there. It kind of works all the time, rarely ever fails. I'm not saying that it cannot happen, because it can, but most of the times it does the job. And we've got William in the house. Hello, my friend. How we doing? Right, leaving this here on the side till it kind of boils, and I'm going to show you what I'm adding into when I'm making the bread. So, focaccia basically. But you could use this recipe, I'm pretty sure, if you adapt it slightly, maybe add a bit extra flour, you could use it for like a normal bread. So, flour. I try to sieve the flour, don't get me wrong, I don't do it all the time. But when I can, when I have the time, when I feel like I want to, I'm sifting the flour. I feel like it really does make a difference. Getting it nice and aerated. Plus, if there are any impurities in there, which there rarely ever are any impurities, then you're gonna get them out the flour. So that always helps. Now, moving on, I'm adding a bit more flour actually. So that was, I don't know, probably half kilo. I'm adding about probably another, I don't know, 100, 200, something like that. You know, what's 100 extra, 100 less, nothing is gonna change. So I would say that we've got here about, I don't even know, 600 grams of flour, let's say, something like that. How much is one of these? I think it's 1.5 kilo. So 1.5 kilo. So we're probably having here, yeah, 600, 700, something like that. It doesn't really matter. At least it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so I've got here dry yeast. Don't get me wrong, you could go with fresh yeast. You could go with sourdough if you want to. That's going to make it a bit more complicated. And yeah, I tried a few times. I kind of failed. I don't really have the patience, although I do appreciate a good sourdough bread. It's really nice. And I will make it one day, because let's be honest, it cannot be that complicated. So we will do it one day, but till then we're sticking to the yeast. So I'm using dry yeast. Now, if you want fresh yeast, you can definitely use fresh yeast. I do like fresh yeast, but here in Jersey it's not that popular, so it's a bit more difficult to find it in shops. So dry yeast is what we're using. I would say about a tablespoon and a quarter, something like that. So about a tablespoon and a quarter. We're going in with about 3-4 tablespoons of flour from the one we already have here. Sugar, whether you're using white, brown, whatever the sugar you're using, it's important to add a bit of sugar. No more than a teaspoon should be fine. It's just basically to activate that yeast or help activating the yeast. And now what I want to do is just add some lukewarm water. Now the idea is with the water, you don't want to go more than body temperature, which is, what's the body temperature? Is it 38 degrees? Something like that. So yeah, that's probably the best temperature that works for bread. Now you could measure this with a probe thermometer if you want to, but we're not going to do that. Just kind of like eyeball it and then whatever kind of like feels right. Now mixing everything together in here is going to go straight into the bowl. You could give you a bit of time, and you probably should. I don't really follow any recipes, as you know. Straight in, it will do the job. It works 98% of the time, so I'm not worried about it. Just make sure that the water you're adding is not too hot, because if it's too hot, it's basically killing the yeast. Because this is, once you add water, well, when it's dry, it's kind of dormant. But as soon as you add water, you give it the right environment, it comes back to life. But then if you don't give it the right environment, if you give it like extreme then 38 degrees, then that's what the problem is with the yeast in general. If you're going too low, it's probably not that bad. The only downside of going too low with the temperature is that you'll have to wait a lot longer, because basically we'll start, let's say, from let's say 10 degrees, I don't know, 10 degrees. So till it builds up that temperature to, let's say, I don't know, probably not 38, but let's say close to that, it's not reacting very well. But then if you see in here, see there are already bubbles forming, so that's a good sign. That means, you know, we've done something good. So, pardon, that means, you know, that the yeast is slowly kind of like coming to life, and you see the bubbles, you know, kind of like keep forming slowly. So that's when you know that you're doing a good job with the yeast. If it's dead, it's dead, it's nothing, you don't bring it back, that's for sure. So that's probably the main reason you fail when you're making bread, apart from other things that can go wrong. So olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, I'm gonna go in 4 tablespoons, something like that, you know, you don't need to be stringy, it's fine. Salt, really important. I always found that I need to add more salt than I actually think that's enough. Because for some reason, the bread really like kind of sucks quite a bit of that salt and you don't really feel it and it feels like the bread doesn't have enough salt. Now in the same time, bear in mind that you don't want to go crazy, but 1 tablespoon is definitely needed. So 1 tablespoon goes straight in. It might look a lot, but trust me, it's not that much. Now, what I'm adding exactly the same things that I added to the previous one. Turmeric powder, about a tablespoon. You can go with less. It gets pretty yellow, to be honest, after a tablespoon. You can go with less if you want to. You don't necessarily have to go crazy. Now, caraway seeds. I'm going usually with like a good pinch. That's probably like, you know, 1 teaspoon of this. 1 teaspoon of caraway seeds. They are pretty strong, but in the same time, they work really, really well. At least in my opinion, I like this flavor. You don't necessarily have to use what I've done. You can do so many variations. Like, that's the beauty of making bread, you know. Till to a point, you could follow this recipe. Just before I added basically the turmeric and the caraway seeds. After that, go crazy. Whatever you feel that works, whether you want to add basil, whether you want to add dried oregano, whether you want to add, I don't know, even smoked paprika if you want to. Whatever works for you, whatever the flavor you like, getting into the bread, what can go that wrong? You might mess it up once, but next time when it comes, you know, maybe mess it up twice, but then when you do it even later in the future, then you might come up with something really nice. So now that we've got everything in here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it, so the mixer is there, and I want to keep it there because it's kind of loud, and I want to keep it on the side. So put it into the mixer and give it a good mix. Yeah, you're not going to see any of this part, but this is probably the boring part, which is not that interesting. So at the beginning, I'll leave it on low speed till all the ingredients kind of like combine, and then after that, I'm going to start slowly adding the water. Now let's move everything out of the way, because again, if we don't keep it nice and tight, we're not going to have space, because we've got quite a few things to cook today. Flour, I don't think we need it, but we'll see. I always keep it on the side just in case you need to kind of adjust. If you, let's say, add a bit extra water in there, if it happens that you added a bit extra water, then you could go with a bit more flour. So that's again something that you need to figure out when it comes to mixing there. I might actually bring the mixer here just to show you what's going on, but it's not a lot to see. It's just a mixing process, which you could do by hand, by the way. And I kind of highly recommend. Releasing some of that stress is really good exercise. I'm just being lazy today, and also I'm trying to be kind of efficient, because if I was to do it by hand, considering how many other things I've got to do, it's not going to work that well. Okay, so who else is in the chat? Got Paula in here. Perfect. We've got more and more people coming in the stream. I absolutely love it. Thank you guys for joining. And if you are in the stream, if you've been watching for a while, maybe whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, because by the way, we are both YouTube and Facebook today. Well, pretty much all the time. Yeah, just give a like, give a share. Share with a friend if you like it. Okay, so it's boiling. Now, what I tend to do, whether it helps, whether it doesn't, I'm not entirely sure. 1 tablespoon of oil in there. It kind of feels like they don't really stick that much together when they come out of the water. So now I want to prepare, so it's important to have everything ready, because this is not a long process. So as soon as you put them into the water, and when they come to the surface is the time when you need to take them out the boiling water. So when you take them out of the boiling water, to stop them from cooking, I want to have in here, I want to have some icy water. So that's the whole idea, to stop them from cooking. Otherwise they will continue cooking, and not just that, being in hot water, they're turning into some sort of like weird soup, gnocchi soup. So we don't want that. We want them to stop the cooking. And the idea is once we stop the cooking, we'll remove them from the water once they're completely cold, and then put them into the fridge, get them ready for frying tonight for dinner. So that's literally 80% of job done now. So you don't have to do that much work later on. Now let's get the ice out. I'm pretty sure I've got some ice in here. Oh, I do. Perfect. Might not need a whole lot, but okay. Let's get the ice in here. And once I get this ready, it's easy. It's literally, you'll see how easy it is. And gnocchi, the process itself is not hard. You might fail a bit. Let's go back to so I just need probably to add a bit of water now. So we're going gradually with the water. It's no rush with the bread. It's on low speed, so shouldn't really be that big of a problem. But I just added about, I don't know, probably 200 milliliters of water, something like that. Again, with the bread dough, it's more of a like consistency. It needs to feel right when you see it, when you touch it. You can't really say exactly that, you know, my flour doesn't have the same humidity like your flour. Same, you know, with probably the ingredients you're using, they're not entirely the same. So that's why it's kind of hard to follow recipes. To be like, okay, I'm going to put all these ingredients, 100% is going to come out as it should. Don't get me wrong, there are many situations when it does, but it's not always the case. You need to kind of know how to adjust these. Takes time, I agree, but this is kind of the hard reality sometimes. You know, you just need to adjust them as you go. Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, true. Wow. My hands are absolutely freezing. But it's totally worth it. One more, that's it. This goes back into the fridge for whenever we're gonna need it next time. And now water. Cold water. Okay, we've got cold water here. This is simmering, because in the same time you don't want it to be boiling like crazy. So that's the whole idea. You don't want it boiling like crazy, because if you do boil it, then you know they might break apart. Although we've got egg in there, we've got flour, we want to keep it, you know, nice and at the simmering kind of like temperature. Okay, going straight in. When they come at the surface, they are done. As you can see now, let me actually show you. You can't see, you see now. They're going straight to the bottom of the pan. But when they come to the surface, they are done. We're not going to go with too many, because we might get into the risk of like getting them stuck one to another. But half now, half in the next batch. Let's increase the temperature slightly, because obviously adding them now the temperature dropped, but as soon as we're going to increase the temperature to start them, to get them back into the simmering. And meanwhile, going back to the bread, because we don't necessarily have to watch this closely. So back to the bread, let's add some more water in here. Okay, I've added about another 200 mils of water. I didn't go with like warm water, stuff like that. It's pure cold water, it's fine. As I said, the only risk with this is that it's gonna basically take longer to come to that temperature that we want. But that's fine, we have already a bread, a focaccia pretty much ready to go into the oven, so nothing to worry about. Yeah, this is slowly rising, the temperature is fine. So I'll give you another like 10 minutes, and after that we're going with this straight into the oven. Yeah, the simmering temperature is almost achieved, so you can see slowly kind of like bubbling. Looks good. After this, we're gonna go to make the gnocchi. Not the gnocchi, sorry, the gnocchi will be done after this. The parsnip puree. We're gonna get the parsnip puree on, and whilst the parsnip puree is doing its thing, I'm gonna finish getting the fish ready. Right, we need more liquid here. I put another probably 100 mils. Something like that. Anyway, I'll show you the consistency and you'll understand how it needs to look like later on. So you can see here, let me actually show you, you can see that are slowly coming to the top. So the gnocchi are slowly coming to the top. When you see them like fully kind of like floating, then is when you can take them off. And then we're going to take them and put them into the, let me find some sort of device. Right, whatever comes at the top and stays at the top can be removed. So these are firmer now. I'll show you in a second how they look like. They're pretty much all coming in the same time, so I'll just give them probably a bit more so they, whenever I'll see them all at the top, I'll just remove the whole lot. It's going to be a lot easier this way. Probably till now for you, maybe the gnocchi look like a scary thing, but as you can see, it's pretty easy to make them. It's not complicated at all. Okay, we're looking good with the bread. I just let it like run. That's fine. We're good with that. So now everything is at the top. Let's remove them from the heat. Going straight into icy water. Try to drain them as much as possible so we don't melt this ice. We have a shortage of ice. And we want to have enough for the next batch. And as I said, this is the easiest shape you can make. You could obviously, you know, go fancy and make it in all sorts of shapes, but for what I need, I care more about the flavor than anything else. Obviously, this will look nice, don't get me wrong. It's not like, you know, they're gonna look crap in the plate, but I care more about the flavor than the actual shape. Right, everything is in there now, we're good. Probably have to do some washing up shortly because we're running out of stuff here. How is the bread doing? The bread is doing well. Mine needs just a touch more of water. Yeah, and I'll let it run there. Okay, let me show you how the gnocchi look like. So now they're firmer, they basically solidified, but not at the point that are rock solid. But it's a lot easier to work with them, they're half cooked. And this is a process that, you know, that needs to be followed. I'm not talking just if, let's say, because I'm serving them, let's say, in like, I don't know, 4 hours or so, something like that, in 4 hours. But even if, let's say, I wasn't I was to kind of like serve them now, I will still follow the same process. So you need to basically boil them in a way. But more of a like blanch them, it's somewhere in between anyway. So you have them kind of cook all the way through, considering that you have flour, egg, and all that kind of stuff. Plus, it helps, you know, it really helps, you know, for the evening. I have everything pretty much ready. Chuck them in a pan, give them a nice color. You could even deep fry them. You could do that if you want to, but I would just keep them in a pan, nice, give them a nice color on both sides, and then perfect in the plate with whatever the meat or whatever you're using, or even use them as a vegetarian dish if you want to. Okay, I'm going to remove this from here. The problem is I need to put them in a tray. So we're making space for the other batch. So these are cold now, exactly what we want. Perfect. Okay, these are not far away, probably another minute or so, and we can remove them from the heat. Yeah, the bread is looking good. I'm just going to increase the speed slightly. Almost there, almost there. And then same with the focaccia. I'm going to prepare it, put some extra virgin olive oil, maybe a touch of rosemary, not a lot, and some sea salt, and in the oven it goes. Maybe we'll skip the rosemary. We've got enough flavors in there for what we need, so I don't think we actually need the rosemary, to be honest with you. You could just make it next time, let's say when you're deciding, you could just make it with salt, sea salt, and rosemary, and extra virgin olive oil, because that's probably the classic, or at least as far as I know. Right, everything is off the heat. Now, let's get rid of this water. Give it a quick rinse. And I'll be using this for the puree. Okay, let's see first what's going on here. Yeah, I feel like this is a bit too... no, it doesn't look bad. It just needs a bit more time of mixing because it was like on a really low speed. So that's what kind of like sets it down slightly, but it's looking good. Quick washing of hands, and let's move on. I'm gonna keep this here on the side, and then once they fully cool down, I'm gonna get them into the tray, somehow put them into the fridge later on. Right, first we're getting in the focaccia. So focaccia will go in, and then after that we're moving on to this. So let's see how it looks like. So I don't know how long it's been there, probably like 20 minutes, but probably it's not that visible in the video, but it's definitely, you know, you can see it rising. So just poking some big dents into the dough, and then after that follow with some extra virgin olive oil, which was here somewhere. I got it. So good amount, good drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Focaccia loves extra virgin olive oil, so don't be stringent. Yeah, go all the way, and make sure you get a good quality one. I'm not talking about, you know, you're not going to find any extra virgin olive oil below, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 pounds, 8 pounds a liter. Good pinch of sea salt, rock salt actually, to go on top. And in the oven it goes. We've got the right temperature, we do. So 10 minutes, 200 degrees. Let's put the timer on. So timer on for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we'll give you another like 20 on at 180, 175, something like that. Right, this is done. I'm going to show you in a minute once we put the puree on. So let's peel this first. Obviously, starting with the beginning, peeling the parsnips. Yeah, parsnip puree is nice and sweet, so just let me kind of like give you the idea of this dish that I'll be cooking tonight. So the parsnip is obviously sweet. Now this in combination with the bacon and peas, which the bacon is salty, smoky, and all this combined will work absolutely perfect. The gnocchi are kind of like a neutral flavor. They don't really have necessarily a punch, because obviously they're just like, the garnish is not necessarily that strong in this situation, but combining with this puree and the sauce, they should work perfectly. We're also going to be adding a touch of lemon into the bacon and pea sauce, so that's going to help as well, you know, this combination, you know, with the sweet parsnip, and plus the fish. Remember that we've got sea bass as well going on there. Right, next. Right, so we've got the parsnip. I'm pretty sure it's more than enough for what we need, because I don't think I need more than like 2 tablespoons, let's say, per dish. But if it's more, don't worry, we're gonna find use for it. Okay, I need chopping board. Even this should do the job, even if it's smaller. Okay. So just trim the ends. We don't need the sea salt. Well, we'll need it at some point, but not right now. Let's see how the bread looks like. Perfect. It already starts rising, so good sign. First in half, and then after, I'm just kind of like cutting into the chunkier part of the parsnip. I'm not going all the way because I still want it to be kind of like chunky to keep some of that structure in a way. Even if it's a puree, I don't like, you know, to chop it in like it's really small cubes or pieces, because I feel like it works best like this. Going straight in, and after that we're gonna add a good amount of butter. Parsnip, fish, I like the combination. I think they work really well. So something maybe you want to consider in the future. Obviously, if you want to go an extra step, you could make some parsnip crisps, or you can make some nice pieces of roast parsnip. That's another option. Okay, so we've got more than enough parsnip in there. Butter, quite a good amount of butter, probably like 20 grams. Boom. And trust me, it looks a lot, but it's needed. It will be really nice and silky once we've done it. Looks a lot because it is a lot, but right, so this we need to kind of like, now we'll slowly cook this at like on medium heat, because I want to give you some sort of like caramelization before we're adding any liquid. I'm gonna go simple, just a bit of like milk in combination with water, so it keeps basically the color nice and white. It's not gonna be exactly white, but it's gonna be that kind of like cream white. Okay, we've been live for an hour, but we definitely have another hour to go. The bread looks good. This is good. So now let's make some space on the table. So this is slowly kind of bringing some heat in there, And then what we want to do after is just so what we need now is some baking paper. So I want to put this on baking paper to make sure that they don't get stuck one to another. I should have done this earlier, but what can you do? There is some water in there, so probably adding it earlier would have been not that great of an idea. Let's just get rid of this liquid. And now, gnocchi back into the tray. I'm going to do basically 2 layers of gnocchi and put them into the fridge. Wrap these up and let it in the fridge till evening when I'm going to be using it for the sea bass. Right, another layer of paper. These are cold now, just what we need. Okay, perfect. I'll leave them outside for a bit, just so they kind of like dry slightly. And we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna show you how the bread looks like. And we need to do some washing up in a minute because there is no other way. We have no space in here whatsoever. Okay, so just so you see what's going on here. So the parsnip is slowly coming to the temperature that we need, and we're gonna kind of like roast it into the pan to get a nice sweetness out of it, because this is like onion more or less. The parsnip is like not necessarily, it doesn't have a taste like onion, but the idea is when you cook it and you give it nice color, you kind of caramelizing it, it becomes sweeter. Same with the onion, they have kind of same properties from this point of view. Right, let me show you the bread now. Well, not the bread, but the dough for the bread. See what we've got. Okay. Removing everything off the hook. I'm gonna put some cling film on it and give it maybe 1.5 hours, something like that, about 1 hour. It all depends how warm the place is where you basically doing the cooking, or where you're actually placing the bowl with the dough. So 1 hour, 1.5 hours, something like that should do the job. And ideally, after 1 hour, you want to knock this off, because it will probably go till here. Knock this off, and then basically leave it another half an hour. So it'll be basically proving twice, plus once in the tray, and that is when you're going to get absolutely perfect results. And then we need a wooden spoon. Yes, a wooden spoon. Okay, that's for the bread. So that's the 10 minutes gone. So what we're gonna do now, I wanna basically reduce the heat, see how it looks like. Looking good, looking good. So I'm gonna reduce the heat to about 180 and give it another 20 minutes. So another 20 minutes, and then we'll see how it looks like after 20 minutes. But in 20 minutes should be done. You should have a nice crusty, should be nice and crusty on the outside and kind of chewy on the inside, because that's what we're looking for. Now let's move on. So the bread is there. Let's see what else we got on the list. So gnocchi, we smashed them. We absolutely smashed them. They are done. So all I have to do is just put them into the fridge, get them into the fridge, wrap them, get them into the fridge. That's going to be in like 5-10 minutes or later on. So gnocchi out the way, we can cross that off the list. Sea bass prep. So the sea bass prep, yeah, we're going to do the sea bass prep actually meanwhile, because we have a bit of a gap in here. So we're going to do the sea bass prep. I just want to, I'm kind of speeding up the process with the sea bass as well, because I've done I filleted them earlier. So all we have to do now is just basically trimming the fillet so they nice, and because they are kind of chunky fish, you know, they're not, and they are like Jersey sea bass, so nice and local. Right, let's get the knife for this. Do we have a knife? We should have a knife for this. We do have a knife. How are you guys doing in the chat? Are you all good today? If you're watching, as I said, whether you're watching from Facebook or from YouTube, I really appreciate if you give this a like or maybe even a share. Share this with your friends. We are cooking today. We're having a great time. Getting a nice dinner menu for 6 people today. So, let me show you what we've got. Quite a few. I want to trim this, but I need to remove all the bones. There are quite a few in here. So let's see. Nice fillets of fish. Let's just trim that belly, which is kind of like tough. Trim the end. So look at these fillets, absolutely beautiful. Let me see. There might be some scales still on, fish scales. Just removing these every here and there. I've not done a really good job removing it right from the beginning, but that's fine, we'll remove them now. And then I'm just going to pin bone all the fish bones out of the fillet. This is the best that Jersey can offer, the Jersey sea bass. Beautiful, absolutely amazing. So much better than the one you can buy in the shop. Obviously the price is higher, but it's totally worth it in my opinion. It's probably almost like double the price comparing to the one that you, like the farm I'm talking, comparing to the farm fillet, but absolutely an amazing piece of fish. We should have, well, we do have. Perfect. So what I need to do now is remove all the tiny bones, because we don't want any bones into the fillet. And the way you do it, you just kind of like go with your hand. But obviously don't go crazy, because some of them are quite chunky bones. So you want to go just kind of like touch the fillet, and you'll feel those bumps, you know, into that you need to remove. And when you feel one, that's the place basically where the bone is. So you just get it out. And you need one of these tweezers. If you don't have one, probably just use a normal tweezers, but just make sure you disinfect it. This is specifically made for fish. It doesn't cost a whole lot and it's pretty good. So let's see, any more bones in here? I think we removed everything from here. Okay, to the next. They're quite big, to be honest. Yeah, because the fish were like kind of chunky, so the bones are pretty chunky as well. But yeah, not that many. Yeah, this is almost done. We have probably another 2 here. It is an extra job that you have to do, but I think it's totally worth it. You know, this way people can enjoy the fish, you know, without worrying about the bones that they might find in it. And when you say fillet, it should be without bones. Okay, just continue mixing into the pot. Right, so that looks good too. Discarding some of these. To the next. Moving on to the next, exactly the same process. Going one by one. If you are too lazy, probably if you buy it from the fishmonger, they might do it for you. It's not that complicated. I usually like to buy my fish whole, and I like to do the filleting. I like to do this whole job, although yeah, it's quite a bit of work, and it can get messy as well, because obviously all the fish scales can kind of like go all over the place. But I do like the idea of filleting the fish myself. Plus you get better value for money. They're usually cheaper because there is less work involved for the fishmonger or fisherman, depending on where you buy them from. Okay, next. With the smaller ones it's obviously easier because, well, it's kind of harder finding the bone, but you can remove them a lot easier. Next, same thing. Let's see how the bread looks like. Yeah, the bread looks actually really, really good. I'm actually really pleased with what I see there. So the bread should be fine. We've got another 12 minutes. But we'll check it after 12 minutes, see if it's actually okay. And if it's not, we'll give you another like 2 or 3. Okay, so that's done as well. We'll get back to them to trim them to make them nice and presentable once we remove all the bones. Okay. That's it, we got that done as well. So now, I'm going to put this back in there just in case, you know, there is more like liquid and stuff like that, you know, it's going to basically drain off the fish. So, what I want to do is basically remove all this part that I know 100% is going to get overcooked, or there is one more bone in here. Okay, so that's done. So the very thin part, you know, that's part of the belly of the fish. I'm going to remove that. And then we're going to score all this fish, you know, in a minute. I just want to first remove the belly part, kind of like trim it. Okay, that looks good too. Moving on. Same with the end, remove that. Nice, no bone. Next, now with this, there is some sort of like, I don't even know how to call it, but there is like a white, like something white that covers the belly, you know, that's pretty tough. So I want to get rid of that as much as possible, but in the same time I don't want to trim too much. If let's say this part is usable, which is usable in most situations. And here at the top, trim some of that too. Okay. This is pretty neat already. It's just here at the end. Now we've got a few things to do. Right. So all these we can discard it. Going in the bin. And now gonna cut in half. It's gonna be too big for the pan, plus from presentation point of view it's gonna look better with two pieces of, and I want to score it. Every half centimeter, let's say, you want to make like an incision, but just make sure that you don't go all the way through the fish. So what this does is helping with the cooking of the fish, basically through these vents, you can say. You know, there'll be more heat going through the fish, but in the same time it's going to crisp up the skin. And what I'm going to do this evening, you know, when it comes to seasoning, is just by holding it like this and putting the seasoning on top, you're going to get basically seasoning into the flesh, and it's going to be better from like taste point of view. You know, it's got, the fish is basically getting better seasoning. So just mixing these again. Same story here. We want to cut this in half. And then scoring beautiful. That's a really nice sea bass. You need a really sharp knife for this operation, if I can call it this way. Plus, if you have a chef knife, even better. Well, not chef knife. If you have a fish knife, even better. If you don't, then you could get away with a very sharp knife. That's no problem. There's still some scales in here, so let's remove this. I don't think I missed anything like scales. Hopefully not. Don't want to see any of that into the plate. Okay, so same story, cutting in half, and then let's core it. So there'll be 2 pieces per portion. Now we'll figure out that when it comes to like plating, we'll have to kind of like mix and match. There are some I think like 2 fillets or even more that are like kind of tiny. So we'll have to mix and match the fillets so we get consistent portions. I think this has got some scales in here too. Yeah. I've done a terrible job cleaning them. That's fine. It's not that complicated doing it. So, same here. Let's just core. Half. We're almost done. We're moving on to something else. This is probably a bit more boring, especially when you do something repetitive, but it's part of the dish, so it's got to be done. Right, one more. No scales, good. Right, so we're looking good here. I'm happy with the fillets. We've got the fish prepped. We're going to put it into. I'll put it back in here because just in case, you know, there is some more like liquid to. That will be perfect till evening, and we're going to do the cooking after that. That's literally just before serving, so we have the skin nice and crispy. Now, washing hands again. Story of my life. Cloth. Okay, so fish is done. This, we'll need the liquid in a minute because it's slowly getting there. It's slowly getting where I want it to go. So as soon as I see some sort of color on it, so when we see some sort of color on it, we're going to get the liquid. I'm going to get a combination of probably half water, half milk, something like that, or maybe a bit more water than milk, but somewhere along these lines, with a touch of seasoning, just a bit of salt, not a lot, because remember that this is the part that's sweet into the dish, and it's got to remain sweet, but just a touch of salt, not a lot, because this will be in the combination with the bacon and pea sauce, which we're going to do part of it, but I'm not going to add the pea now because I want it to stay nice and green, so that's going to be added just before serving. So there are a few things that you need to bear in mind when you're preparing. Do as much as you can, but don't go all the way compromising the dishes. So what you can do now, but then stuff that you know that you want it to be in a certain shape, certain color, like same like green vegetables and stuff like that. Ideally, you want to cook them just before serving. Okay, it's good, looking good. Right, this is going to go into the fridge if I find space for it. Let me actually see if I find space for it first. Oh, probably not. So it's got to go into a plate. So plate will be, which is not that big of a problem, let's be honest. Right, put it into the plate and then it's going into the fridge like this. We need to save the space. We got quite a few things already going on in that fridge. Plus we have more to add. So I want to make sure that we have enough space for everything. But the fish looks absolutely amazing. Local Jersey bass. Now, the bread shouldn't be far. Yeah, it's got another, it's less than 2 minutes away. And I'm pretty sure it's done. Okay, sea bass into the fridge. Let's move the vegetables from here. Health and safety. Put it down here. Okay, so let's see the bread. I'm pretty sure it's done. We don't necessarily need to wait for the time, but I can see it being okay and perfect. Oh boy, and it is. Absolutely amazing. Okay, now I can turn off the oven because I'm not going to use it till the other bread is ready. It's going to take another hour or so, so we can leave the oven off. I'm going to remove these from the tray after I do some washing up because I have no more space in here. So it's got to be done. Especially having this longest live stream. I knew it's coming at some point. Getting closer to the point that we're going to add the liquid here. I'll show you how the focaccia looks in a minute. But first, first we need some washing up going on here. Okay, timer, that's done. Almost there. Another like 5 minutes and we'll be adding the water. First water, and then the milk I'm going to be adding it later on. I don't want to go with the milk in right now. Right, let's do some washing up, the part that nobody likes. But it's got to be done, so we are doing it. And meanwhile, we need to keep an eye on the parsnip. Starts getting color. Let me show you actually what's going on here. So the parsnip starts getting color. Can see here, yeah, like this. So that's what we're looking for. We need a bit more color in here. So that's going to become a bit sweeter. That's the whole reason behind it. And once we achieve that, we're gonna add the liquid, and then, yeah, happy days. But till then, let's do a bit of washing up, because it's needed. Have no more space. Who's doing the washing up? Well, who's washing the dishes in your house? I'm actually curious. Are you doing it? Are you running away from it? Are you running away from it successfully? Or you are the one doing it no matter what? Or you are the one not doing it no matter what? This is looking good. It's an easy puree to make, but it makes so much difference if you follow this process, you know, basically cooking the parsnip in butter till it gets some sort of color, plus the butter, you know, when you cook the butter, it changes its taste and it's so much better. Yeah, just a few little things that make so much difference. And it's the same, I like to do the same with the carrot puree. So when I make carrot puree, it's another thing that I like to do is basically just follow the same process of caramelizing the carrots, because carrots they are sweet themselves, but they become even sweeter if you caramelize them. So that's the idea behind it. And not just that, you know, the flavor itself is not just, I'm not looking necessarily for sweetness only. It's more of like getting the flavor right. And that's what I want to achieve. So we've been live for 1 hour and almost 40 minutes, and we still have more to go. No, huge, probably another hour, I would say, something like that. Well, till we achieve basically what we want for this dinner. And we are not that far away. So, sea bass prep completed. Focaccia, well, we've got one done, so I'm happy with one for now. It's going to be one more later on going into the, oh, let's not waste any water there. I'm going to have another one going in soon, so it's kind of done. One, it's probably going to be enough for today, 1.5, but if you have quite a lot left, we can give probably to the guests, because I'm pretty sure they absolutely love this bread, you know. So yeah, my friends absolutely love it, so I might give them some, you know, to take away if I get something extra. That's fine, but it's definitely not going to get wasted. So focaccia, I can consider it done. One more to go. It's not that much of a pressure now since we've got one ready. I'll show you how it looks in a minute. So what we've got left is the basil and truffle batter, which we've got some here, but we're gonna make it in a minute, and pea bacon sauce, and obviously the parsnip puree, which it's doing well here. I'll leave you a few more minutes, and then after that, going in with the liquid. I keep saying another 5, but then, yeah, if it makes sense, we'll just leave you a bit longer. And it does make sense because it looks, the color is absolutely amazing. Obviously, we reduce it to minimum, so that's why it takes a longer period of time, but it's totally worth it. Continuing with the washing up because we need some of the space here. Plus, especially having a small kitchen, it's complicated keeping it nice and tidy. That's why I didn't put any lights today, anything fancy. It's literally just natural light. We want to keep it simple because I need space. And with all the lights that we usually do when we do other live streams, it gets a bit more complicated. But obviously, yeah, you need light if, let's say, you were to do it in the evening, which that's when we usually do live streams at, like, let's say 7 p.m. Today is a different story because at 7 p.m. the party is full on. So yeah, everything needs to be done by then. Actually, needs to be done even like earlier than 6. Now, let me show you the bread. Bread. Oops. Do we get it or not? Do we get it out of the tray or not? We do get it out of the tray successfully. So let me show you what you have here. So that's the focaccia bread right here. Nice, beautiful. See? You probably can't really hear, you know, but it's really nice and crispy on the outside, and you can feel it that it's got the right consistency on the inside. So that's what you're basically looking for when it comes to focaccia bread. Obviously, you don't need to go that thick. You know, there are different variations. There are different ways of making it. Oh, sorry, I'm going all over the place. There are different ways of making it, but this is one of them that works really well. So just follow this recipe if you want to. Obviously, you can go thinner if you want to. You don't necessarily have to go that thick. But then you need to adjust the ingredients probably, and not necessarily the ingredients, but the cooking time. So you need to reduce that. Okay, enough talk. Let's get this liquid in here. So what I want at this point, not a huge amount for now, but at least not yet. Just barely covering it, or just basically at the level of the parsnip in the pan. And now I want to put the lid on. So lid on and let it boil. And after that we're going to add milk later on. That's why it's not a lot of liquid at this point. Plus bear in mind that parsnip in general, your parsnip, it is kind of like mushy. It gets kind of mushy once it's cooked, and it's kind of got quite a bit of liquid. So what you need to bear in mind that we're not making a soup, we're making a puree. So it's got to be kind of like, it's got to have the right consistency so it holds into the plate. So you rather have a bit less liquid than too much liquid. So that's something you need to bear in mind, but this doesn't need much cooking. It's probably already kind of cooked just by cooking it in butter. So that's something that's, pardon, it's really important to bear in mind when you're actually making these purees. Whatever the puree, you know, it's not a soup, it's meant to be a puree. And again, the more you can keep basically that flavor, the better. So let's say you're making carrot puree, you need to feel carrot flavor, not even questioning it, is this carrot, is this not? You're making parsnip puree, you need to feel the parsnip, and then if there is some other additional flavors, then after. So it's really important to have the main basic ingredient standing when you taste it. I think that's the way I work. I'm not saying, cook. I'm not saying that you cannot do like all sorts of like crazy things like fusion, mean fusion, whatever. But basically, like if you keep it nice and kind of classic, then that's what you want. Main ingredient, parsnip, main flavor, parsnip, if it's a puree, and so on. So this is something to bear in mind for whenever you cook next time, or whenever you make probably any dish. Right, few more things to wash, not far away from completion, and we're gonna move on to the butter. I want to get the butter ready, which is really easy. It's basically just like mixing the ingredients that you like, whichever those ingredients might be. I've got here some butter. I'm going to be making a bit more. I've got some friends coming over on Sunday, because basically Sunday is when my birthday is, so that's why I can make a bit more. That's not that big of a deal, so I can use it on Sunday, because it definitely lasts. It lasts probably even like weeks in the fridge, as long as you don't keep it for extremely long time, because obviously it's with pesto, so that's the only downside for this. But if let's say you were to make it just with truffle, then happy days, it will stay in there probably for as long as the butter can hold, which this is only expiring, where is the expiration date? Should be here somewhere. 6th June. So we've got more than enough time to use it. So even if we make a bit more than we basically need, that's absolutely fine. And in this situation is actually even better. So like this, I don't have to make any more butter for Sunday. Happy days. Okay, more washing up. I'm getting there. I've got this tray, I'm done. Well, I'm done till next time, because there will be more later on. Put it straight in here because it's hot and it's gonna dry out. That's it. Boom. Easy. I have no more space in there anyway. And that's pretty much it for now. I mean, we can go a bit more, but that should do the job. So, back. We are back. Yeah, this is slowly simmering. That's what we want, kind of like simmering temperature, and it's gonna go on. Oh, I need to wash this as well, but then I'll give you a bit of time. I can stay in there. Getting a new chopping board. Okay, butter. Now with this, ideally, but not today, for some reason, you want to have it into the, you want to have it room temperature for, I don't know, probably if I was to take it last night, although here it was kind of cold yesterday or last night, oh my god, feels like the winter is coming. It was actually snowing here yesterday in Jersey, which is crazy considering this time of the year. Yeah, if you have this at room temperature, I don't know, room temperature, let's say 20 degrees, 22 degrees, something like that, by now it will be like the perfect consistency. We don't have it at that consistency because I just took it out the fridge probably like a 1.5 hour, 2 hours ago. So that's definitely not enough. Now we're getting it slightly a bit into the microwave, no high temperature, and we'll just kind of try to melt it, but not in a way that's melt all the way through, because that's kind of defeating the whole purpose of what we want to do. And I've got here some pesto. Now with the pesto, the idea is that when I make too much, I freeze it. So it stays nice and green. As you can see, it's nice and green and bright green. That's what we want. So I've got some that I took basically straight from the freezer this morning. And I also have some, let me get the truffle oil. Oh, here it is. Truffle oil, a bit of truffle flavor, nothing really complicated. It sounds posh, but it's not that posh. It just works well with flavored butter. That's the reason I'm using it. So when we get that out of the oven, I'm gonna out the microwave, I'm gonna combine all this together, and after that form them into like a sausage kind of like roll shape, something like that. So after that it's gonna go into the fridge just to set. Once it's set, I'm gonna portion the amount of the butter that I want, and after that it's gonna go on the table probably an hour or even more than an hour before the guests arrive, just to make sure that it's spreadable. Okay, that will need more. So the idea is I just go low temperature. I mean, I don't think that I need to show you how to use the microwave, but then just go low temperature and then just give you a bit of time, and then take it out, check it, put it back, so on. And then we're gonna mix all this together, and we've got the pea sauce, which we're gonna be doing it here. So that's the last thing to do. We're actually not in that bad of a situation. Almost 2 hours of live stream. We've done most of it, to be honest. So we're not that far. So all we've got left. So we're gonna do the butter. This is literally easy. It's really, really easy. So this is not gonna be complicated at all. And then we're gonna move on. Maybe the puree will be ready by then. So if not, we're gonna move on to the pea and bacon sauce. We're gonna get that one, as I said, without the pea. Pea is gonna be added in the evening. That's made with cream. Oh, it needs more. So pea and yeah, the pea and the bacon sauce. As I said, we're only combining the ingredients that, you know, that basically can stay till the point. Well, even if we were to add the peas, now, it's not that necessarily extremely wrong, but it's not going to stay nice and bright green the way we want it. So let's get some onion, because we need some onion. And I also need the garlic. So 1 onion, probably 1 clove of garlic, 2 cloves of garlic, something like that. I don't want the garlic to kind of overpower the whole thing, but it's not going to do it. Yeah, I think we've got what we need. So, pesto, straight in. Now what this pesto also does, because the butter itself has the tendency, you know, of setting it, basically getting set pretty fast. Now, what's going to happen if we add the pesto, having extra virgin olive oil, is going to kind of keep it nice and, I think, in a lot better shape, consistency for spreading. So it's going to be, I think, a lot more spreadable. Okay, just a touch of truffle oil. Oh, that's probably a touch more than I wanted. Anyway, we've got truffle oil in there. So now let's just combine all these together. It's kind of a messy job because I should have... So I'm just going to try to break these big lumps apart and then use a spoon once I've done this. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do this with the spoon only. If it was to leave it outside, room temperature, it would have been a lot easier. But now I kind of mess it up, but it's going to do the job, no problem. Right, let's get a fork and see what we can do. Or a spoon or something. We'll need to figure out something that putting it in blender is not necessarily the best idea. At least not in this situation. Because one is kind of soft. The smaller part was kind of soft. The other was kind of like firm. So I'm just going to try to combine all these together. We're just going to try to combine all this together in a way that's not basically affecting, well, not that's affecting, in a way that's effective. Want to make sure that I get rid of all the lumps so I get the homogeneous consistency. And then after that we're going to be rolling everything in one log kind of like shape, or maybe two. Yeah, I'll probably do two, but yeah, that's the shape that we're going to be doing. Okay, this is looking good. Perfect. Now, let's see some of this focaccia, see how it looks like. See how it works with the butter. Nice. It's perfect. It's not too dry. It feels great. I mean, look at this. So that's going to go basically this evening on the table. Perfect. I'm also going to put maybe some extra virgin olive oil, balsamic vinegar, stuff like that, but it's going to be amazing. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, this is still firm, so we need more time. Well, the thing is, the outside layer it's soft, but the inside it's still firm, so we'll need a bit more time. So we see how easy you can make. Like literally, I've done pretty much the whole process here with you. You can see how easy you can make nice focaccia, a bit of butter, whichever the flavor you choose, and then you can obviously put some extra virgin olive oil with some balsamic vinegar, and then just combining these two, they're going to be absolutely perfect. Just put it on the table. You don't have to do a starter. I don't really see that starter, main course, dessert. I feel like it's too much. Anyway, we're kind of doing a starter because we're going to have a few dips on the table, but having, to plate everything, especially from a kitchen like this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not tiny, but in the same time, you need plates, you need forks, you need all this stuff, You obviously need it for the dips, but it's a lot more relaxed atmosphere. And that's what I want to kind of create. The main course is kind of like, not complicated, but it needs a bit more work already. So if you do the same with the starter, not even talking that you're going to go with something crazy when it comes to dessert, then when you're going to enjoy your night? What's the whole purpose? It's like the whole purpose of like a dinner party is spending time with people, not necessarily all the time in the kitchen. Bread is absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's roll the butter. We roll the butter, we get it out of the way. And we eat a bit more bread, obviously, because it's absolutely amazing, this bread. A bit more butter in here. So we don't want to leave it too long, because if you leave it too long like this, it defeats the whole purpose. We're not going to be able to we're not going to be able to roll it because it's going to solidify, so we want action now. So we need some space here now. Okay, let's roll. Let me show you a very easy method. I learned this when I was working in a kitchen here in Jersey at the Royal Yacht Hotel. So, because we were doing a lot of whether we were doing butter, that was the time basically when I worked as a professional chef. So whether we were doing butter, terrines, there was something to roll pretty much every single day. Cannellonis, salmon cannellonis, pasta cannellonis, whatever the cannellonis you can imagine. So there was always something to roll. The idea is that you need a wet surface. It's not something wow, out of ordinary, but it's just a very easy technique that helps you, getting it right. So as you could see, wet the surface with that sponge, and now obviously make sure that this is the clean one. I've got another one which is for something else, but this is the clean sponge, or you can use paper if you want to, and then you go with another layer just to make sure that it's safe, that basically when you roll it, it doesn't break. You go with 2 layers. So having 2 layers, it's a lot better than one. You want to have some sort of backup. Now what you can also do is just flatten all this, and then look at this. So it's nice and flat. So now we want to go in with the butter. So you see how nice surface we've got already, starting like this from scratch, and in the right way, right from the beginning, is what you want. And since I said that I'm going to split this in 2, I'm not going to add more. So I want to form it in a shape like a log, basically, sausage, log, whatever you want to call it, so we can roll it easier. Let me give you just a quick wash, because now I have my hands all butter. Okay, so fold it once, but as you can see, I didn't put the actual butter right here at the beginning. I put it a bit more towards the center so I can fold it, at least I fold it once. So once I fold it once, I cover it with the cling film. So when I cover it with the cling film, I have a lot better position, and it puts me in a lot better situation of shaping the butter. So once I do this, roll it forward and just try to get the air basically from the middle outside. Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. Boom. See? Now, first you want to get one corner. Nice, tight, no air in there. Well, as much as you can basically. And then you're closing this end. After that, same here. You basically pinch it here as close as you can to the butter, closest to the butter, so you don't have any air in there. Roll it a few times. Another knot here, Look, boom. This is how you do it. Nice, tight, perfect. This is gonna set and it's gonna be in a perfect shape. So that's what this is, just like little tricks that you can use, you know, in order to not necessarily impress, but I think it's still something really good to know how to do. If let's say you want to make a terrine, you use the same process. Speaks for itself. Now this is going into the fridge, if I find some space in here. Yeah, well, kind of find some space. Pardon. So now, moving on to the next one, we're doing another roll. So let me show you again. So first layer, and you always go longer than you need. So you have enough surface basically, so you can make that knot without being. I know you're gonna waste a bit of cling film, but you're gonna get a lot better results this way. So flatten all the surface of the cling film. Moving on to the next one, another layer. You could probably get away with one layer, but I think, you know, when you kind of like squeeze that butter, you know, you might have there might be chances, you know, that the foil, that the cling film is gonna break, and it's not something that you want, that's for sure. So flat. Now let's go in with the butter. Same story. You don't want to go too close to here and too close to here. It's more of a towards the center, but not right in the center. That's the space that you need to roll it, to make the knot, and this is the space that you need to basically fold over the butter, giving you a lot better putting you in a lot better situation of like shaping the butter. So try to get all that butter here. Okay, all in. It looks kind of messy at this point, but as you can see with the other one, you can get it after into a really nice shape. And it's not necessarily now that you need to worry about. Now you kind of evenly spread it, but that's pretty much it, because the part that you're making it into the nice roll is going to happen now. Let me just get a quick wash. Yeah, I agree with Andre from this point of view. Yeah, I should get some sort of sponsor. I should get some sort of sponsor to sponsor me with for the cling film I used. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, from this point of view, it's probably quite a bit. But as I said, you know, yeah, it is a bit of a waste. I agree, and you could do it with a bit less. But it's definitely one of those situations when, in order to do it right, you probably need to have a bit of waste. So nice and firm, just continue. Every step of the way, you need to make sure that you keep the shape that you want, and then getting all that air out this butter log, if I can call it this way. So nice, round. Again, pinch as close as you can to the pinch the foil as close, the cling film as close as you can to the butter, and the first knot comes in, and then here the following. Yeah, I probably went a bit over the top with the cling film. I totally agree. I could have saved some, but yeah. Next time. So nice firm look. Boom. It's almost kind of like springy, because it's got everything it needs. Well, it's tight. That's what I want to basically say. It's nice and tight, and this is just perfect. I'm gonna get one out once it's set. Slice it, put it on the table. Job done. Easy. So that's job done with this. I'm gonna place this in the fridge. let's try to find some sort of like flat surface. Good luck with that because the fridge is almost packed. And let's enjoy the last part of butter that we still have here with the piece of bread. Got some leftover pesto here. Nothing gets wasted. Well, apart from the clean film today. Okay, so butter, done. What else we've got? So we've got the pea and bacon sauce. Let's see how the parsnip looks like. I think the parsnip might be done. Although we left it on like low heat. I'll give you just a few more minutes, add the milk, and so probably will give you another 10, let's say. Meanwhile, let's start preparing what we need for the sauce. Oh, I've got my milkshake here. That's been here for like 3 hours probably. What can you do? Till I set up everything, till I got everything in place. It took me quite a bit of time. So that's my breakfast right here. Combined with some sort of like, with some focaccia. Not a bad life to live. Right, let's get back to the onion. Onion, garlic, sauce. Oh, this is turned off. That's not gonna work. Okay, so onion. I'm just gonna finely chop it. Same with the garlic. Let me show you what's actually going on here. We don't need more than an onion for this. The onion is basically just kind of like complementing all the other ingredients. So we don't want to kind of like overpower the whole thing. So 2 cloves of garlic, more than enough. Okay, we got it, we didn't get it. Finally, I should use a smaller knife, but oh well, sometimes. Okay, let's clean the board so that's out of the way. Get the garlic chopped. I'm gonna put it in the same time, garlic, onion, all these will go at the same time in a saucepan. Just make sure that you chop it finely. You don't want to have any bigger like kind of like pieces of garlic in the sauce. In the same time, don't worry too much because obviously once it's cooking, it's not going to be that big of a problem. So let's keep it nice and clean. Normal garlic, sauce. So where is my saucepan? Here. Now first, I need some bacon. Bacon time. this bacon or pancetta? It's more of a somewhere in between because it's pretty thin. But it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to keep it on the same board. They're going in the same pan anyway. Just chopping this bacon, smoked bacon by the way, it's important to have it smoked. It'll give you a nice flavor to the, and it's going to work perfectly with the piece. Plus we're adding some cream in there, it's going to be just perfect, trust me. Going just chopping in smaller pieces. Right, now into the pan. First we start with the bacon. I'm going to move the parsnip from here because we have no more space. And now this is the boring part with the parsnip. You know what's going on. It's slowly cooking, but you can't do it here. So we're going to get the bacon on. Right, the bacon going back into the fridge. How are you guys doing? I can see that we still have a few people watching, which is kind of insane because we got a really long live stream today. We just crossed 2 hours and 16 minutes, and we probably have another, as I said, between 2.5 hours. We're gonna have another 20 minutes for sure. Okay, bacon somewhere. Well, that makes it complicated. It's gonna go there. But we're not that far, so this, a bit of oil, not a whole lot. That bacon is not necessarily extremely fatty, so it's not going to leave that much oil or fat, so that's why I want to have a bit of oil in there. Just break it apart because the slices were pretty thin. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to get the onion and the garlic in a minute. And also double cream. We're going to need probably, so this is 500 mils, 250, 400 probably mils, so for 6 people, something like that. 400, let's say, should do. Even it's definitely even more than enough. The bread is absolutely amazing. And by the way, this is a sauce that you can use not just with fish, it works in other situations too. It doesn't need to be with fish. You can use it even with chicken, with even with pork. But today it's with fish. I think I got actually a recipe on my channel when I made it with chicken breast and Lyonnaise potatoes or something like that, and it works absolutely perfect. But instead of bacon, I think I was using pancetta. So either way, whether you're using one or the other, well, obviously pancetta has got a better, slightly better flavor. I actually like it a bit more. But bacon I've got, bacon I use. So I want to cook this till it gets nice and crispy. So that's the whole point of this. Cooking the bacon till it gets nice and gets a nice color, and then after that we're going in with the onion. And then once we're sweating the onion, it gets to the point that it's becoming translucent. Then is the point that we basically gonna add the cream. And then once we add the cream, we're not gonna add chives now, but then there's gonna be some chives added once we add the piece. But the piece is only gonna be added in the evening. So yeah, this is more of like the prep that we're doing for this evening. Well, I'm surprised that the cameras are still fine, and I'm hoping that you still can hear me okay. If there are any issues, obviously drop me a message. Well, if you can't hear me, probably you're not going to be able to, but because you don't hear anything I'm saying. But I really hope that you can hear me okay. I'm working on improving the audio, by the way, which I kind of did today, but there are quite a few interferences. So with all the equipment that I'm using here, they just kind of like, they don't really like working one with another, you know, they don't really play nice. Let's put it this way. And you hear all sorts of like noises because of that. But yeah, that's the technical part. Let's forget about it. It's good that we can still kind of, good or bad, still kind of communicate and do this live stream. And I believe from now on, I'm not saying that it's going to be 100%, but as you know, YouTube or filming is not my full-time job. I like doing this, I absolutely love it, but I do have a full-time job, so that's basically the priority. Whatever is left is cooking, is filming, and is so on. But from now on, I'm kind of changing my rota. My rota is going to be changed, so I think I'm going to do a lot more live streams from now on. So instead, let's say, posting of Fridays a video is going to be a live stream. Why not? Because I do like these live streams, but there are so many things that can go wrong. That's the problem. There are so many things that can go wrong, whether the audio, whether batteries, whether, I don't even know, internet connection. So yes, there are quite a few things that can go wrong, so that's the reason why the Jersey double cream. Perfect. I was going to say, if you want to keep it a bit lower in fat, probably use a different kind of cream, but we already have the bacon here, so yeah, it's not necessarily the most healthy dish, but it's definitely tasty. Okay, onion goes in. Once we got this sauce done, actually I'm going to add the milk. So I'm going to add a bit of milk to the, where is my milk? Oh, here it is. So I'm going to add a bit of milk, 100, 200 mils to the actual sauce. No sauce, puree, parsnip, whatever that is. And then once we're done with this, we're going to puree that and see what we end up with. It should be good. It should be good. It smells good at least. And I'm going to be adding a touch of salt. I did say that I'm going to be adding a touch of salt, which I didn't. So where is my salt? Oh, no. Oh well, we lost the salt. Here is sea salt will be. Yeah, just a good pinch of salt in there. So once we have the onion translucent, which will take another like few minutes, we can move on and add the cream. And once I add the cream, I'll bring it to the boil, and then after that, just basically season it. No more salt, I'm pretty sure there'll be enough because there is bacon in there. but there will be probably a bit of pepper needed, which I'll add in now. So a good pinch of pepper goes straight in. So pepper in, no more seasoning, and then we're just adding the cream. Once we're adding the cream, as I said, we bring it to the boil and let it into the fridge. Let it into the fridge for the evening when we're going to be adding the peas, and that's pretty much it with that sauce. So easy, really, really easy. Absolutely, my friend, we're going to be doing more live streams, yeah. As I said, you know, it's going to be more live streams. I do love live streams. Although, as I said, you know, there are quite a few more things that can go wrong comparing to a video that you pre-record. Plus, you know, even the cooking can go wrong, which you might do in the future, because I'm definitely not an expert. I do like cooking. I worked as a professional chef in the past. But if you think that you know, professional chefs don't go wrong when it comes to like cooking, oh my God, I've seen so many things in my almost, you can say, short history of working in the kitchen, because I work about 6 years in the kitchen as a professional chef, and then I seen so many things go wrong. I do have a set of skills that should kind of prevent that, but this doesn't mean that it cannot happen. Right, so I'm kind of happy with what's going on here. The onion is translucent, it smells good. After adding the pepper, it feels good. Let's go in with the cream. As I said, we're going in with about, so this is 500 mils, 400 should do the job. I'm going to bring this to the boil, and once it comes to the boil, the idea is that all we'll have to do is chill it and put it into the fridge. So that's the plan, and basically get it out of the fridge in the evening. Add the peas, like 2 handfuls probably of garden peas, chives. Happy days. That's our sauce right there. Right, the puree. Increase the heat, and then we're gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna get ready the blender. So let's get ready the blender, because we're going to be using it in a minute. The Ninja blender. Right, got everything ready. I'll let this cool down slightly, because I don't want to kind of like add it right away. This is, in the end, this is plastic. And even for like professional ones, you know, getting it, obviously if it's made of plastic, it's definitely not professional. It's got to be either like metal or even glass, probably for something that's really hot will do a better job. But not that it's gonna get damaged, but in time it definitely will. So I'll let it cool down slightly till I bring this to the boil. And then after that, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about, Tim. Right, not far away. Let's do some cleaning, organizing, all this stuff, you know, that nobody likes. Yeah, this is definitely fine now. Happy with that. This came to the boil just now, to the simmer, because I don't really need it to go crazy. So I'm going to remove it from the heat. Happy days. That's all it is. Comes down to the boil. Job done. It's going to be thicker till evening, don't worry. Adding the peas and then probably reducing it slightly before serving is going to be just perfect. It's going to have enough body to basically look like a sauce, not just like cream only. So this is done. I'm just going to put it here on the side. And then once it cools down, I'm going to put it into the fridge. Right. Let's go. Puree. We need a ladle. Don't want to add too much liquid right from the beginning. But let's see. If you need more, we need more. Let's connect this because it's not going to work without power, that's for sure. And brace for impact because this is noisy. Ah, you like the Ninja review? Yeah, that was kind of a bit of work, but it does well. People like actually really like it, which I think it's got like almost 8,000 views, and it was posted like, I don't even know, 2 months ago or so. I mean, for my small channel, it's not necessarily bad. It's actually all right. Okay, let's blend. Actually, I'm gonna get all in so the blades of the blender can catch a bit more of this, because it feels a bit like a waste of not adding the whole thing since we have enough space in there. Okay. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay, so what I need is a touch more liquid. So we're just gonna go with 100 mils of water. That will do the job. It's just because it feels a bit too thick and I don't have any more liquid. So yeah, we just go with a bit of water. It's not gonna change a whole lot when it comes to flavor. And then just go again. jokes. The jokes are live. Okay, so we've got pretty much what we need here. That's beautiful. So what you can do now, it's pretty thick. I'm gonna leave it this way. It could be slightly thinner, but that's fine, because what I can do in the evening, if let's say I see that it's still a bit too thick, maybe add a touch more water, but I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to pass it through the sieve. It's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do this, and I tend not to do this for home cooking, because I think that's probably a waste of time. But to get even a smoother texture, what you can do, pass it through a sieve. It's not that big of a pain as it looks like. And then you know that you get nice consistency of the, although there is nothing left, as you can see, look, it's nice, smooth, so it's nothing really there that's bothering me that much. But in the same time, I want to make sure that it's got the right consistency. This is a step that you can definitely skip, especially if you have a blender, you know, that can handle the puree. Basically has like a high speed, higher rotation. So this is nice and smooth. So maybe you see here, like, it's not a complicated job, let's be honest. If you were to work in a restaurant, you would do this for every single puree, especially if it's a restaurant that is basically a fine dining restaurant. They don't take the chance of, like, just because they have a professional blender, they will pass through a sieve. And even finer than this is kind of like a, it's not that fine as you probably see in restaurants. And just pass it through a sieve to get a nice consistent puree. Well, you can see I passed the whole thing and there was not even one bit that's left. But like this, I know 100% that this is what I want, and this is nice and silky. Okay, that's out of the way. So this is the puree. I said definitely more than we need for the recipe this evening, but it's no problem. If there's some left, we can use it tomorrow. You can use that. You can even freeze it. No issues. Nice, sweet. You can feel that, you know, it's been kind of like caramelizing that butter. So that's definitely a plus. So what else we've got to do? So we've got the puree done. We've got the pea and spinach. And we are 2 hours and almost like 40 minutes since we started the live. It doesn't look bad. Obviously, yeah, it's quite a bit of washing up to do again. I'm gonna get the gnocchi into the fridge, maybe get the bread back into the oven because we've got another batch almost ready. But other than that, let's bring the party. I'm done. Well, I'm done for now, and just a few more things to do in the evening, just like frying the fish, gnocchi, heating up purees and stuff like that. But more or less, there you have it. Easy. You see how easy it is, obviously, if you are a bit organized. Can you do it faster? Absolutely, especially without talking that much. I could probably do a bit more multitasking, but in the same time, I want to give you the chance to kind of like see what's going on, because otherwise there's no point me cooking without you seeing what's going on. What will be the point? You're not going to get anything out of it. And even then, considering that we've done quite a few things, it's kind of complicated following all the way through. But if, let's say, out of this whole almost 3-hour stream, you got even a tiny little thing, you know, I'm happy that you watch it. I'm happy that you got something out of it. And thank you so much for watching. And I will see you in the next one. It's going to be next Friday. This was the Friday video. Make sure you give a like, a share on the way out. And I will see you in the next one, because we're going to do more live streams, or at least we're going to try to do more live streams from now on, because I see that people like it, and I do like it too, and obviously it makes my life slightly easier and complicated in the same time, because I need to set up all the live stream setup. I put the setup for the live stream with lights and all sorts and microphones, but apart from that, I do love it. And yeah, as I said, there are quite a few more things that can go wrong, but in the same time, yeah, life is about risk, so let's just do it. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you like, subscribe. See you in the next one.